team on the board. I'll first read our conflict of interest statement. As the Surry County Board of Elections, we have a duty to avoid conflicts or appearances of conflicts of interest. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest or any appearance of a conflict with respect to any matters coming before our board today? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict and refrain from any participation in the particular matter. We have our minutes from our June 17th, 2024 meeting before you for your perusal and approval. If any mistakes, additions, deletions are necessary, please voice that.
On the first paragraph on the top back, it says, Dr. Reeves, this is a situation, what's that?
Should have said Dr. Reeves stated, this is a situation that is hard. Thank you, Drew.
Said between this.
Wayne, I corrected it here, so you can use this one.
Okay.
And next to the last, sorry, closed session instead of closed.
Where are we at now? Same paragraph?
Right at the
Next to
bottom
last.
of that same page, but next to the last,
Ask for a motion.
into closed sessions than closed.
Gotcha. Thank you.
That's the correct.
Approve the minutes.
Have a motion to approve the minutes from the June 17th meeting.
Second.
We have a second. Yoki? Is there any discussion? The motion for approval? If not, all those in favor for the motion to approve the minutes from the June 17th meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Vote. As the minutes are going around the table, I will proceed to open the public forum portion of our meeting. Is there anyone present, either online or in person, that wishes to speak to the Surry County Board of Elections or anything pertaining to election? There is no one online. There is no one present. I will close the public forum portion of our meeting. Next agenda is the Surry County Schools, particularly the Mountain Park precinct location in the Surry County school system. And coming from the meeting of the June 17th, request from the Surry County Board of Education to attempt to relocate the voting precincts off of school property. The staff has made visits and has looked at the different properties, particularly in Mountain Park location of the potential of moving to the Mountain Park Volunteer Fire Department, right next door to the school and school property. I've taken since the June 17th meeting opportunity to just ride and circle the building and look at it myself. I will, instead of me making any deliberations or such, other than just I've taken that opportunity to look at it from the outside. I believe you all both went and met with the chief of the fire department, and you all made an assessment as to its criteria moving off of the school property onto the fire department. Love to hear your thoughts on that.
Both pros and cons, if you don't mind.
Sure,
Yeah,
yes.
Thank you.
Well, the first pro, Jimmy, is that it's conveniently located right in front of where the current precinct is. So that's always good. If you can, if you do have to relocate, having it close by, which you remember back in 2020, we used the church. Then in 22, we were at the school. So again, all right there together. It's nice. But I think in looking at the fire department, our first concern was parking. And I think it's very obvious soon after we arrived, that is why it's never been considered seriously in the past. It's a great facility. The building is great. The classroom inside is great. But it's the getting to that classroom and having adequate parking for voters is the downfall. In your packet, you should have a couple of maps to look at the property. And the chief was so kind and so considerate. He is just, Dr. Reeves described him as a true servant of the community, and he is. He just is a fantastic gentleman, and they want us there. There was no question. They're eager to have us there because, again, he's got that sense of community. But he said, the field across the road and the field beside voters can use for parking in the grass. I said, no, sir, we can't consider that as parking. It does have to be paved, marked. And he understood that, of course. And in this fire department is also the rescue squad, which I did not realize, but the middle part of the building is the rescue squad, and the bays, everything is actually separate with walls and everything. And then the larger end of the building to your far left is the fire department bays. So the classroom would be this area to the far right of the building. And
As we look down on it.
as we look down on it. And then the back of that room is a kitchen. And so if you did utilize these parking spaces in the back, the voter would have to walk around to the front to enter. Or if you use the back as handicap, then that person's going to have to go through the kitchen. That cannot be to enter the voting enclosure. And if you will see there on your map, there's 3 spaces in the front. You see the little red arrow. And that space, Sydney, do you have that one?
I have a video of it.
Yes, Sydney made some videos while we were there to sort of explain what you see. We'll watch the videos. I think that'll give you a better perspective than me explaining here.
Here's the front at Mountain Park. There's several bays and they all have trucks in them. And then there's 3 spots here in the front, 2 handicap, one regular. Although this handicap spot that we're parked in, it does block the door, so we probably wouldn't be able to use that one.
That's not ADA compliant now.
Right.
So that would not and could not be the layout if that was a voting precinct. We would have to, get that up to code, which we would lose a space in doing so. So that puts you to 2 spaces up front, but one of those would be handicapped.
What about candidates
And the
campaigning?
length of that parking lot to that little curb, if you go back, Sydney, to that video.
You were stepping.
Yeah, I'm stepping it off.
At Mountain Park.
Okay.
See
There's
that
several bay.
That curbing is about this high. So if someone does back up, they're backing into the road, and there's really very little to stop them, but it was 32 feet from there to the edge of that curb. So no electioneering can occur whatsoever, no campaigning.
If we use that entrance.
Well, and that would be the only entrance we we
Maybe
could use
somebody
the
could be
rescue
way down there.
squad potentially. The actual rescue squad area, but again, you're still entering. You still gotta enter through that classroom.
Parking lot doesn't look all that big. I mean,
This is the.
so what
front.
happens if they get a call?
Well, we discussed
Emergency
that,
call.
and that's while we would have to, we can't park in front of the base at all.
Exactly.
So that means you're only parking in the front of that building for voters to enter would be 2 spots, 1 handicap, 1 voter park.
And I'm more concerned about our older, more senior voters.
Who do come out and vote on election day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this year, probably more than ever, but
Presidential. And then Sydney, she's got a couple more videos at the back so you can get a better perspective from what you're seeing here. But again, if you look before we get to the videos, these 7 spaces that is to the far left, looking down on this map.
yes.
Again, you're looking at a couple hundred feet for a voter to have to walk to get to the entrance.
That's the
Or
spaces closest to the school, right?
No, these
Closest to the school
along the
driveway.
driveway.
Well, that's what I'm saying, those 7 spaces that you're talking about.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
See that, Sydney?
The side,
The
right,
side. Move around
This
the
is-
building.
all right. Here is the side of the building. There's 7 spots here. On the side, 7 regular spots, no handicap.
So
And I
again,
guess if people parked here, they would either enter at the front of the building or the back, depending on which entrance. we
because that
use.
door right there that you see,
Yes.
that is to the bays where the fire department trucks are. And we cannot use, he said he would prefer us use rescue squad or classroom.
There's that, and it's
Does,
on the complete other end of the building.
Yeah.
I'll ask that question in a
And then
moment.
go ahead and show them the back while we're,
Here is the back of the building. There is an entrance down there, that you can cut through the kitchen to the classroom area that would be good for voting. There is 3 spots right here, parallel spots. And then there's 2, handicap up here and also 1, regular parking spot. But that's the only parking here in the back because there's these bays right here and
Blocked
that's,
bays.
blocked off. And then the last video is parking that's actually on school grounds.
before you play that, that is, in this area that she's getting ready to show you, is where Dr. Reeves has indicated that voters can park.
So we're getting ready to see that. Okay.
And the car line exits through here where voters will be entering the park. So I don't know how that
The
would work.
opposite direction of the car line going out. Car
Before,
line for pickup,
Right.
so voters would be crossing and coming in opposite way from the car line.
before you play it, tell us where on this picture that we're looking at that's located.
See the number 7 that's been written in red?
I do.
To the left, below 7, see those marked out spaces along the field?
Oh, yes.
Right there, and you see that on
Okay.
school property, the property line.
Okay,
So you're still encouraging people to park.
okay. Go ahead and play
And
that.
if people park here, they'll walk. It's a
It's a
little
long
walk.
walk
Yeah, I can,
to the other side of the building.
right.
Because they're gonna have to come in where the number 3 is in the front.
Correct, correct, Mike. That's right.
So here's the side of the building. Now we kind of come across the street. Here is where this comes out to the road, and that's the school. There's extra parking here along this little park, couple of handicap spots, about 6 or 7 regular. And then there's several parking spots down there before you get to where they block off
Stop right there,
for the
Phoebe.
car line.
See the rock, right? There's a rock there. But
Yes.
Dr. Reed said that could all, from that rock forward, up toward the street, can be used for voter parking.
Because when the car line isn't going, they put a barricade right there,
Yes.
so nobody can cut through in and out.
Right.
But
When there is a
from
car line.
1:30 to 3:30 or
morning, drop
4:30
off.
plus in the morning,
I know what that's like. If they, I've been up there.
that's gonna
Yeah.
be a constant flow coming out while voters are trying to go in the opposite way.
And
You won't use those parking spaces when school's going in and school's coming out. I mean, that's just.
At an elementary school especially.
mhm,
And then those are all the videos we
And
took.
the restrooms, there are no restrooms for that building except in the center in the rescue squad. And there's the photo. So in the kitchen and the classroom area where voting occurs, there are no bathrooms. So, you know, we don't have to provide bathrooms, but we do have to for our folks, our poll workers.
Which they said we could use it for our
Separate building,
poll
I mean,
workers, but
it's a separate room, so to speak.
Well, we could probably.
But what you have to think about there is you've got to keep this room secure. So I expressed that to the chief that there's some locks that will have to be put on a lot of these doors on the left of the classroom that leads out into the bays. Because we can't chance someone coming in from the bay while no one's there. Especially, or even while voting is.
so here is a plus. The classroom is really nice.
It is nice.
Like you see where we are parked, that's that
That is a parking space.
handicap parking spot right now that pretty much if you get pretty close, you're gonna run through the door or block.
You're
the
not gonna
door.
open the door. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
so there's that. And
even from a security standpoint. There's nothing to stop somebody from driving right through if they crazy enough to do it.
It is 40 feet to you're in the road.
Yeah, I mean, you've got all our voters and poll workers right at the door.
Unless you use one of the poll workers' vehicles to use
Block
that
it.
number one
Yeah.
prime spot just as a barrier.
Exactly. Exactly. Just for security for everybody, safety.
But then again, you're losing precious.
Yeah.
There for sure would be precious parking.
I
Other
saw
than the
that.
classroom, is there any overwhelming advantage of this location versus the school?
Location is good because again, it is right at the current precinct.
So that's equal.
Someone got, aggravated that they weren't at the right precinct, oh, it's okay, it's just right there. And then the classroom is excellent, but yes, that's,
So basically, then in that case, location, they're equal. There's no advantage as far as location because it's right across the street from each other. Any other advantage
the classroom is nice.
compared to?
Well, it gets us out of, it gets us out of the
It's
school.
best.
Okay, it gets us out of the
That's
school.
what I was.
It gets us out of the school.
That's
right,
the,
right, Clark.
that's the plus.
Yeah.
And then this,
But it could still have our voters on school grounds.
Yes, it could. And potentially at higher risk, traffic flow, trying to turn in and out, parking, walking.
and where we park now at the school is in like a bus parking lot, so it's kind of separate from.
Right, from the cars.
So this is the back door where if we use the back as an entrance, you would have to cut through here, this kitchen area and come all the way into the
Classroom?
classroom. Go back. You can kind of see it there. That's where that door comes out. Back into the classroom. So that's,
You might be able to work the inside part. It's the parking that's
Yeah.
in my mind. I mean, I've went back and forth by Mountain Park School all my life. Thousands of times, and I just would never, ever imagine I mean, it's inconceivable to me.
With the parking. lot,
Well,
you can
let me
see.
ask this question. I should have brought that information because you've already given it to us and I did not bring that information. How many people did we have to vote at Mountain Park during the 2020 general election?
Good question.
It's a lot.
Right here. 2020 general,
349,
Oh, one thing.
that's the primary.
Uh,
24.
349, yeah,
Roughly 350. And the
350
expectation is this is likely to be a bigger turnout than 2020.
And then what's your high number that you're looking at in the past elections? Or you got a number that's
2016 was 390, 3516, and then 11. So 187, 5818. Again, that was a primary. 11, 618, 498.
498?
Roughly 500.
And this will be a large general election.
Yes, it will.
Yes, sir.
And
So-
then 11, 822, 655.
That's why I was getting, I was, used to
22.
be, one year's 800 up Long
It's a
time.
pretty heavy election day
Big
turnout.
precinct.
Yeah.
With,
Even more reason, in my mind, not to lose any advantage that one has over the other.
Yeah,
with voting in the past elections, primaries and elections, other than the year that we were at Mountain Park Baptist Church, people depend upon putting in the driveway of the school or going down Frank Simmons Road and putting in that back parking area to come into the back of the gymnasium. So there would be the potential or the possibility of still having voters that would pull onto the school grounds on the upper side, the lower driveway, looking at this larger panned out photograph coming in from the south side,
mhm.
that they would come through and pull into the school area, either behind the gymnasium or possibly in the front of the school, that would still have to be directed or moved to the fire department.
Mhm.
That would be confusing for a large number of the voters, even with postcards being sent and signage being put up. Sometimes your habits takes over your directions that you're gonna take.
Mr. Chairman, to your point, human nature just by and large does not like change. We're not big fans of change, unless it's overwhelmingly a better situation. And even then, it can be a struggle to get everybody on the same page. I agree with you. Even with the time we have to advertise it, post it, make people aware, we're going to have people to show up where they voted last time, which is at the school.
And that,
It will happen.
And if that field to the right was a paved parking lot, it would be a different story that they own. But it doesn't show here, but it is a little, it's a dip down. And he said, well, then your people could park there. I said, no, we can't ask our coworkers to park in the grass.
Well,
I can
At
imagine
5
how
a.m.
it'd be raining.
No, so,
Oh, it will. It
Fall
always
down.
rains.
yeah. What if it's raining?
And
or-
then you're
Pull 'em
going
out.
out at 9:30 at night, again, dark.
Yeah.
It-
Let me point out that number that I asked you for a moment ago and that you quoted about 350 or
Yeah.
whatever it was in 2020. that's a down number due to COVID.
Correct. Mhm.
A truer
Good point.
reflection is the earlier numbers when you're talking about 500,
The 498.
600,
500 to 600.
800 at one point in time.
625.
So,
You're right.
I mean, they were 390 during the primary.
I
Yeah,
cannot,
I mean, that's 400.
That was pretty big for this past primary.
to anticipate, well, I think we all, anyone would anticipate we're looking towards in this election and think that we will park those people here. As much as I wish that we could move away from the school or to any place, I don't know how we could expect them. That many people to park and go in this building and park to go vote.
Yeah, I'm with you, Clark. If the fire department had a longer list of advantages other than it's across the street from the previous polling place and it's got a nice classroom for voters to come into and our poll workers to work and conduct the work that they have. You know, it might be an easier decision to make the move, but there's just no real advantage to it at all compared to the school.
I can't be in
My-
favor of it.
The one advantage of with remaining in the school property at Mountain Park is that the voting location that they do have us in is segregated from the remainder of the school. And is the entranceway, the parking is opposite from anything as far as it gives the path of least resistance to the morning and afternoon pickup. And it's, like I say, it's segregated back. And which gives a little bit of relief to what I think Dr. Reeves is wanting and some of the school board is wanting to achieve. It does give a little bit of a fence between the students and our voters. If we was to go to the Mountain Park Fire Department Rescue Squad, I think that we would hear from, number one, the voters for the parking problem. I think that we would probably hear from some of the party people as far as electioneers, people outside, that to that front door, unless they're standing out in the highway or over in the other two adjoining parking lots, they will not be in the front of that building.
They can't. No.
So you draw that 50-foot circle
You
around the
can't go
front
out.
door. You have to stay outside of this 50-foot arc.
They'll be in the grass. Is where they'll be
Across the road.
across the road.
Yeah.
And I look at those people, the candidates having their proxies there to try to gain support outside of that 50-foot. That is a group of people, that is a proponent that we need to be mindful of.
And again, I'm sure electioneers do attend Mountain Park on election day because it is a heavy election day turnout precinct.
As a voter, I sometimes enjoy going to a precinct that has a great to vote, and it has a great deal of room. So if I want to avoid electioneers, I'm able to.
Exactly. Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that.
It's a trade.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's true. I mean, I know what I'm gonna do before I go in.
Exactly.
Is there anything else that staff would give as far as a balance to both locations, good or bad, or indifferent, than what you've already presented
On Mountain Park.
on Mountain Park?
No, as Jimmy stated, if you're gonna you're gonna weigh it all, I think it's still heavy school, leans heavy towards school being the optimum location for our needs, which is the voters' needs.
which would mean that we would continue to have two officers at that location for security, either in the parking areas or on the inside, where we see fit, you all see fit for them to be best located.
Again, we have that discussion with the principal, where would you like to see these officers? And we've had that. That's what two good things have come out of this meeting with both principals in person. We got to hear from them where the officers would be best utilized for their needs, and that's why they're there. It's the officers for their needs. So again, that's something we don't have to do by statute, but we have agreed to do that. And as Dwayne mentioned, that price has doubled per hour for what we have paid them. So
I know we all respect the people that have expressed their concerns. We've listened to those concerns sincerely. But I'm ready for a vote.
Does it even require a vote? I mean, we've got a
We have,
precinct,
yeah.
we have a precinct
Good point.
set.
If no vote is taken, it will continue at Mountain Park. If there is no motion made, the move is a moot point.
Should we consider a vote in order to satisfy the people that express their concerns?
That would be the board's, that would be you all's pleasure, consideration.
I make a motion that we take a vote on final decision on the precinct. And that would be that we leave the precinct where it is at Mountain Park Elementary.
Is your motion that we make a motion, or is your motion?
I'm making a motion that twofold. I make a motion that we do take a vote, and that the motion include that the precinct remains at Mountain Park.
Elementary school.
Yes. To be specific, yes, thank you.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to take a vote on the location for our Bryan Precinct Mountain Park voting location to remain at Mountain Park Elementary School. Is that
Yes, sir.
closely cited enough? Is there any discussion on the motion and second?
Other than better than I said it. Yes, that's it.
We have a motion. Is there further discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Unanimous?
all right. Then of
Let me
course-
go get I left my phone in my truck.
Okay.
Take a quick break. Right, we're back. There we go.
Next on the agenda is our Southwest Field precinct. Westfield Elementary School. Took a little drive and drove through 3 different areas. Back before even our June 17th meeting with the school board members that were here and Dr. Reeves. And I think you all have, or you have, Sydney. And so give us your understanding of where we are as far as the one location that is a possibility.
I went yesterday and met with some members of Jessup's Grove Baptist Church out in the Southwestville precinct. And we had been to the precinct previously in the parking lot, looked, and it seemed really nice. We just hadn't been inside of it yet. So I went inside and met with them yesterday. Everything looked good, looked like it would be ADA compliant. The only thing is the entrance that they wanted us to use, and I think would work out the best. All the handicap parking is kind of in the back of the building, towards the back of the church. We would just need to put up a handicap spot closer, and there's plenty of parking there.
Okay.
So if parking's not an issue, just would have to put up that sign and maybe, paint a spot or two with that handicap logo. So minimal cost to get it up to ADA compliant standards. And the church seemed pretty open to having that happen. They said, that's something would be nice for the church to have anyways, handicap parking on that end of the church building. So met with them, that,
Mentioned that they did the vote. They did not get to do the vote.
yeah, so the deacons have met and voted and approved it, but it was gonna go to the congregation. This past Sunday, they didn't take the vote, but we were talking in the way, they said they could announce their business meeting this coming Sunday, another business meeting. If, our board plans on moving forward with, the minimal cost of getting it up to ADA compliant standards. They can announce the business meeting this Sunday and have it in 2 more Sundays on July 28th. So that
The
would be.
vote before the church.
Yes. And so if they do that, we would still be way ahead of our deadline of, in September of having to notice all the voters in that precinct of their precinct location changing.
45 days before the date of the election.
Yeah.
So that
And I
September the
have-
21st would be our cutoff.
Let's see. Computer. I have a few pictures, I think, that took this in. Yes, inside. Okay, so this is, I wish I would have took one from the outside, but this is the entrance where they're thinking of the voters come in. So there's a long, sidewalk right here. This is kind of where I was thinking putting the handicap spot right in here near the sidewalk. And then there's a ramp that comes up into this door. And then after you come in that door, there's a lobby
So
right here.
So it's obviously wheelchair accessible.
Yes.
So-
And the
wide
rails
enough.
are ADA compliant
Yeah,
as well.
okay.
Wide enough, and also both these doors, this one's kind of a small one, both these doors open up too. So this is just kind of the lobby, here's where you would be coming in at on the right, into this main fellowship hall room, where we would have voting at. So there's that. Okay, so there's those doors, that's where you'd be coming in at. I envision maybe the check-in table over on this side. And then voters kind of circling around, the DS-200 being here and, exiting the same door they came in at. This room is plenty big enough. They also have plenty of tables and chairs, as you can see. So, would make it easy. We could just do the, tabletop, voting partitions there.
The only thing, it was very, the room is interesting. There's only one outlet there.
Yes, one outlet
TV.
here, no outlets on this wall, no outlets here, no outlets on this wall, but the back wall, which I have a picture of,
But look at this.
this has 7.
Oh,
It's
wow.
not for crock pots. What is that?
Wow.
This has 7.
Probably so.
I'm
A little-
serious. I bet it
Yeah.
is. Crock pots.
Yeah. Fellowship.
Or ice cream.
Yeah.
So
Wednesday and Sunday dinner.
I mean, that's the only thing I can figure out.
Yeah.
there's a little kitchen area
Wow.
here. They also said our poll workers could use that, which is nice, but yeah,
But
plenty of
there's
outlets
Only
there
there's steps, there's no
Six.
wheelchair accessible
to the
area
kitchen,
to the
but
kitchen. And our chief judge is, in a wheelchair,
Okay.
there, but
there's another picture you can kind of see.
we tell them to
So-
pack coolers, so that's it doesn't matter if they can or can't use, but explain, Sydney, go back to that picture, because you said you'd have to run an extension cord.
It's this picture.
There,
So
yeah.
there's also this little side room that they said we could use, but with how big that room is, I don't think we'd have to use it. We'd probably just pull those partitions.
Are there plugs over there in that room?
There is, and also this is like a little nursery classroom and there's an outlet in there.
I'd
So
be concerned
this,
about plugging everything in. Of course, they're probably on the same circuit.
Probably,
The stuff in
yeah.
that room, but we'll have to be,
they did,
if we decide that we're gonna make that change, you need to know where the panel box is
Yeah.
at that church.
they did say that where the 7 were in a row, they were on different regular circuits, whatever. They
Could the
did-
DS 200 be put at the back of the room?
Where it could be maybe on this front end right here, and the only thing else we have to plug in is express vote. I was thinking plug it in on
In the
that
back.
7, kind of that
Plugs
wall.
back there.
And then the only thing else is
Your
your
laptops. and
your
printers.
laptops and your printers. And for that small of a precinct, we're only gonna have 2 printers, 2 laptops.
And so
even in a
that
big
will go with the
election.
TV side. Yeah,
So
that
check in
outlet.
on this side and then
DS 200.
DS 200 kind of right here, run an extension cord
And then
there.
express vote back here, the crock pot island.
Yeah.
Just
Express
be
vote
aware
lane.
that
Yeah.
if we were to make this change, that those electrical concerns might be an issue
Well,
for you down
we
there
had that
on
here, this
election
was
day.
actually,
Oh, really?
and
That's amazing,
everything
though.
we were using was on that wall.
Oh, I can remember,
And so we had to have outlets added after 2020, remember?
I
Because
can remember your predecessor having a fit over in there, how little, even in your offices.
oh, I know.
It's-
So may I go back to my earlier questions? What are the advantages for our voters and our poll workers to move to the church versus being at the school?
I think parking is excellent.
Yeah.
It is so, the pictures just can't do it justice.
Okay.
Marked clearly. Now, we would have to spend a little money.
Just for that
For handicap.
Handicap 1 or
but
2
again,
spots, but
We're used to having to do that. Of course, we would save money on two officers that we wouldn't have to pay. And I think the church, they haven't formally took the vote, but it sounds like they are very eager for us to be there.
So parking's
Parking.
as good, if not better,
ADA compliant.
ADA
For
compliant.
voters.
Yeah.
And it's not, is it even a mile? You know the distance, it's not far at all,
don't know.
Jimmy,
It's-
from the school. It's very
It's about-
close.
Mile and a half.
Mile and a
Yeah.
half. Okay.
If you look at it in the
Okay.
precinct, you know, if this is the precinct, how far from the middle of the precinct is the church?
left,
Yeah, I was gonna say we can,
Not that you'll have
Got to-
precinct lines, but
Pull it up on Google Maps.
not that all of our precinct location voting sites are in the middle of the precincts. I
Right.
know that, but
that's optimum, of course, but it can't always happen.
Here's one shot that I made. This is at the back of the church. Pass that along to. That's the back of the parking area there. And that's just a part of the lot.
It's pretty. Like more than adequate.
I think it's where that pin is at, and then that tan is the Southwestfield precinct.
The tan shaded.
Yeah.
well, that's not bad.
Mm-mm.
It's a little bit for a reach when it, you know, the far end up there next to Mount Airy, but
Where's the school at? Look up their address.
I'm familiar with the church. I just wasn't, not with how it lays into the precinct.
There was a, right there, you had, right there is.
So see, it's not,
far, it was like right
yeah,
there,
it was
wasn't
right there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you're not gaining. It may be closer to the folks up on that northwest corner, but it's further for the people on the other end. So I don't think you're gaining any more with one than you do with the other.
So I was gonna try to find
Yeah.
a better picture.
Yeah, see the parking?
Yeah.
It's,
Oh, yeah.
And this is
that
kind
good.
of, that sidewalk right there that you can see, that's this is where you come in
Mm-hmm.
at, this little breezeway almost. And yeah, look at the parking there.
Mhm.
And
And
so
the voting
you
would
can
take place in that.
right, see that breezeway? Yeah.
So people would park in the lot to the right
Uh-huh.
and walk up that sidewalk. And that's where the ramp
That would
is.
be-
lobby,
Uh-huh.
and then you
Yeah.
go into the
Okay.
big fellowship hall area right
Hmm.
here. But yeah, lots of parking. The only thing is the handicap parking is here, there, and I think actually some around on this side
Yeah.
too.
So they would be open to
Outfield
marking
Over
more
here.
handicap on the front side,
Closer to, yeah,
Uh-huh.
down in here
right,
somewhere.
near the sidewalk.
Which would
And
be
e-
good for them.
Yes.
and everything at that location, every inch of that property is immaculately maintained.
Well, the good thing is
It's,
on,
it's,
on
amazing.
Tuesday, November the 5th,
there's nothing else in
there's
there.
nothing else going on
No.
there except for people to come vote
There's
for the
nothing
most part.
else going around there.
And you can't really see from this picture as good, but you can actually enter the
Mhm.
parking lot from down here. It's kind of
Come
the,
back up
I see,
entrance
okay, now I see the parking behind the
here.
trees.
and there's
And-
arrows.
and here.
So
Yeah.
if you follow the arrows, everybody's gonna enter on this side, and we could have voter entrance, signs here,
Right.
voter parking,
Right.
and then exit
Exit.
that way. So
Yeah.
traffic is.
Flow.
Or
you
even
gotta
slower.
exit
go
that
up.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great for,
really nice.
layout. I mean, it truly is.
You
I
have
think the
overflow
only-
parking area.
The only downfall would be the electrical. There is very little electrical outlets, but it still meets our needs.
And it's a smaller, where Mountain Park is a
Larger
bigger precinct, election day precinct.
Right.
Southwest Field, off the top of my head,
80?
12 to 1,500 voters there.
And the
Total.
second primary
Okay.
was like 8 people.
12, I think.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, but that was the second primary, but yeah, it's a lot smaller of a precinct.
So if we were to,
We move it up to Mountain Park.
Hey, anything in Mountain Park to have that space.
that would be one
It
solution.
is.
If we were to decide on this, then certainly we'd be satisfying at least one piece of the request.
Mhm.
But
Right.
this, to my mind, just seems to be a better location. And if the congregation, for whatever reason, decided not to vote for it, then we could approach it on a conditional basis. If we chose that on the condition that the church
Yeah, I think we'd
congregation
have to
votes in
vote.
favor of it, and if they don't, then it's coming back to where it was.
Yes.
I think we'd have to do it contingent on their
Yes.
approval.
Yes, sir.
As opposed to Mountain Park, Westfield Elementary is problematic because your voting space to enter in, you are still within close proximity of the schoolrooms, the children, the students,
Mhm.
and having that interface where it could possibly be interaction, crossing paths. Ought not be if everyone comes in and out of the right location. But, Westfield, a newer school, it's the way the campus is built, where the school, is laid out. It's all internal. I can't speak for the school board, Dr. Reeves, but if there was one to be changed, I would think they would say that it would be their first priority would be Westfield.
I agree.
Anything further from the staff on Westfield location?
So,
And there was a couple of parents who showed up at the church
towards the end of our meeting.
toward the end of the meeting, who had emailed me with concerns in the beginning. They came to that meeting.
Did they attend the
Parents.
board? They didn't attend our meeting. Okay.
They were members of the church.
Just concerned parents.
Sure.
of the-
Concerned parents interfacing with
Children
the,
at the school, parents of children at the school.
Correct.
that came to the Wednesday night meeting to interface with the school, with the church body.
No, came
No,
to the
to our
meeting,
meeting.
the
Meeting
meeting with just the two church members.
The church.
Guess they just want to make sure that you were there.
Anyway. And I think there has been, to no fault of anyone, but I think there's been a lot of hands and communication. The church thought we were talking about 2026
Beyond.
and beyond.
That was one of their
I
first
think there's,
questions.
I'm glad that we now are talking to the church
Correct,
because
sure.
and we understand why they reached out and we're trying to be proactive to find a location for us, they being the parents.
Right.
But I think now it's good. We've met the church and we can say, no, these are the dates. This is how many times a year. Here's the contract. Sydney left them a contract to look over so they would know what they would be
Okay, good.
looking at or signing off on.
I just left them a sample one like that, North Westfield, which is Westfield Baptist, is pretty much the same exact as that one. And answer any questions and kind of went line by line. with them.
Now, we,
They had questions and you answered them.
Tried to do the best I could.
and they also, we would be paying the church what we pay other churches to go to the school. We don't pay rent.
Right.
But we're paying the officers. So it's actually less expensive to do the rental
Okay.
agreement, than the
And
officers.
have
I mean,
two
not
officers.
that that's, but I did want to share that with the.
Well, no, that's a valid point. That's on the
Yeah.
pros and cons list. It should be part of it.
And the
Yeah.
only other cost would be hopefully one time doing the
Marking.
handicap marking, but then once that's there. You know,
It's there
should be
for
good
all
a
future.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And two, if this works for us, we could see about maybe investing in an outlet there where the DS-200 would be instead of running extension cord. Again, that's down the road.
Let me boil it down to this. Do you see the church as a more advantageous voting site for us in that precinct than where we are now?
Thank you. That was-
Regardless of the wants or desires of anyone with the schools.
I do.
That's all I need to hear.
that's-
Sydney?
So you had your personal choice, you want to be there than the school.
I think so. Again, Drew, I think anywhere we can always be to where we're the only game in town for
Mhm.
that day, election day. It's just most beneficial to the voters.
The church really understood the security of when we drop our stuff off on Monday, and between when we pick it up on Wednesday, there's no activities to be in that area where our equipment is, it's locked up, that's it. You know,
But we
even though
can't
they
vote.
might-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Even though, you know, they might have a Wednesday night service, you know, I told them we'd be picking up between morning and afternoon, and we pick up the signs, you know, everything should be out of there by Wednesday
Wednesday night
night and not interfere with their Sunday morning or Sunday evening services. So I think it fits both of our needs
And
well.
our rules that we give, every woman they file is, you know, be respectful of schools and churches. Do not put any political signs out on Sunday. You must wait till the Monday before. So that would fall right in line with what we already have in place. for
But
those.
we really can't do anything till they vote, we can't say we're going there till they vote.
You can do
Okay.
yes, you can do a resolution based on their,
Additional,
Condition.
yeah, affirmative vote. Mhm.
Mr. Comer asked the very question that I was thinking about. It's what what's your thought as to which one would be better? And what I heard both of you say is the church would be an improvement compared to Westfield. Okay. Good.
Any other questions from board members?
And again, I'll just reiterate, as Dwayne mentioned, it is just not apples to apples.
Right.
Westfield is just not the best, Westfield Elementary is just not the best layout where Mountain Park is because it's a separate part of the school.
I think you both have done a great job assessing each location and the option that we have with each location. We've gone through the pros and the cons.
They ought to write us telling us, thank y'all for doing this.
Yeah,
But we could just say.
yeah, we could.
I won't go to sleep. Let's keep it where it is. At least they ain't getting a plumb just a wet hook when they pull something out. They got half something.
What are churches? What are we paying churches in election years?
I want to say it was $100.
$100.
I
Mm-hmm.
Ain't much, is it?
think it's
No, it's
100,
not.
for sure.
Just to help offset the heating or cooling. Or
Right.
Yellow lights.
For 2, possibly 3 days.
Possibly 3
On
every other year. Mhm.
How many churches in the county do we use?
Oh,
were
yeah.
just looking at earlier.
Mhm.
I want to say it's around 6, 7, 8.
Back to the graph on the,
And
churches are 7.
can we
7
not,
currently.
can we not? Can we not up that? I think that's not enough.
Board's decision.
Can we not do better?
More churches.
Well, I mean, that just does not seem, that. I don't want to be accused of being some
I would have, but I would have to go back. and-
liberal that's trying to give away money, but my goodness, that's not enough money. It's
And-
just not.
And
I don't care what our
times
contracts say.
we're having, or they're having to meet us with keys. Most of them we have keys. Some have
There-
keypads
Keys or codes.
or codes, yeah, but
Majority.
How long has that number been in place? Do we know?
75 years.
prior to when we were here, that was the place.
It's,
And it hadn't changed.
Wait a minute, let's go to that in a moment. Let's first address, I'd like to bring that up in a moment if I can.
there's something other that I want to.
In other
I do.
business.
Here we have the potential, we could have had 2 different voting locations after today. I hate to move voting locations because of, as you was alluding to a while ago, you know, the habit of the voters out there and what they're used to. And to change that can be to a certain segment aggravation
Confusing.
and confusion. And I wish we had something in these contracts that would, I know, to be more than just year to year, where that they might try this year. And Jessup Grove says, after November 5th, they say, we don't want to do this again.
That's a good point. I wondered about that too. Of course, then we could always go back to the school. I mean,
Yes.
Then that,
but that's a change again for our voters. And
That's to the chagrin of everyone involved.
yeah. And, but that's just, there's possible confusion in the front end.
if we make this change, can we consider taking extra steps in signage? So
Oh,
that-
yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
And we would post
Try
at
to
the
eliminate any
old
confusion.
precinct at the school. If you show up here, this is where you actually vote
Yeah.
Yeah,
now,
Right,
head that way.
okay. That would help.
Yeah.
And at the school, we'd probably do multiple points of entry,
Yeah,
you know,
definitely
every
do the-
driveway or what have you,
Right.
so.
So
Cover our
They can see a
bases.
sign that says you need to head to Jessup Road.
Yes,
I think we
and
did
with the
that.
address of Jessup Grove.
when
We always.
We always do
Yeah.
that where,
We have to move the first election or two to get people in the habit.
Well, if we make this change, we can only hope that the voters recognize how nice the layout is, the facility is, and see it as a better choice than where they were voting before. That would be an ideal outcome.
Yeah.
If it's, if in fact it's the better place, which it sounds like it is. So,
Citizens of the precinct would be more familiar in the location and knowledgeable to get there than we would.
right,
What be the pleasure of the board at this point, if we have no further discussion or questions?
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we change the voting precinct location from Westfield School to Jessup Grove Baptist Church, contingent on the vote of the congregation as outlined by Sydney and Michelle in their discussions with the deacons, I think it was, there at the church. If they approve, then we change our voting location.
second.
We have a motion and we have a second. The motion is to change our voting location for South Westfield from Westfield Elementary School to Jessup's Grove Baptist Church, contingent upon the fellowship of their business meeting, the business meeting of the fellowship in their vote as outlined by Sydney and Michelle. Does that reflect, Mr. Coleman, what you,
Close enough.
is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. The contingent motion. Thank you all. Thank you all, the staff, for the
Amen.
work
Amen.
going into this to help make the decision.
oh yeah, Sydney's put some. She's made some visits.
Yes, you have.
Mountain Park, Mountain Park, Mountain Park area. There's just not a lot there
Yeah.
that you can,
And try to keep looking, but it's just.
and the other
It's
church.
not out there,
It's
is
out
it?
there.
Well, the
Well,
other church we went to, which has tremendous parking, but half the cemeteries in Wilkes County, half cemeteries in Surry County. Now, the church is in Surry, but you're gonna have probably more provisional voters will be confused. You'll have Wilkes County voters trying to vote
Yeah.
because it's
Could be.
way at the far end of the precinct, so
And
that's not.
because it's on the border of the precinct, it's a very
Yeah.
large land size precinct, probably
21.
our biggest.
Mhm.
Those people might have a 30, 40-minute drive
Yeah.
within
Oh, yeah.
precinct to get to
Now,
their election day
that-
precinct.
We would hear it.
You have a
Yeah,
big
that's-
percentage having to travel. to a
Yes.
More sparsely populated
Yes.
area.
Yes.
So you would
Three little
probably get
churches.
people saying,
Oh,
why
it
would I
is,
not
it's the
just
three
drive up to
churches.
Logup or to
Well,
wherever,
It's
whatever's
just like
close
you have
up
people
there.
showing up here when they shouldn't be showing up here thinking, well, this is my precinct.
Showing up here from down in Shoals. Or from,
We had
Yeah.
them all.
we have it all, yeah, from
We
everywhere.
have 'em all.
That, I know we share in that concern that our voters are used to something that got that in their minds, that's where they vote. And any change can be confusing.
Yeah.
So if we can minimize that, come out ahead with the location for everybody, that's a win-win.
Yeah.
But if we can do the extra signage, that I
Oh,
think
yeah.
would make a
Definitely.
difference, since we're
Mhm.
making a change,
Mhm.
better make people know.
Is there any other business come before us today?
We'll just proceed with, after we hear from the church on their vote, July 28th. I'll keep the board updated with what that vote is then, and then from there, we'll proceed with the contract if it is affirmative. And, we'll get everything we need from them, and then we'll do the letters and get everything prepared to do the notifications, notices for the paper,
Get the parking lot painted.
parking lot painted. Painted.
Didn't see how far that circle went out there at southwest at the church there.
What
How far
circle?
would the circle go for electioneering?
Oh,
Can't
it,
say.
well, we wouldn't paint, we'd probably do a chalk line there.
That's what I had mentioned to them,
Yeah.
and I didn't measure
We
it,
wouldn't
but
do
we
a
could go
permanent.
back and do that as
Mhm.
well.
Looks like a good place. for
Yeah.
I
it.
Miles.
think So even if, just say, for example, if it went past here, you still got room on the other
Yeah,
side.
you have room.
Still could.
Both
Stay out of the
sides.
grass.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know how far, I
Hey,
think
if
it
it's a
would.
hot day, they may be glad to be in the grass rather
That's
than
a
on that
pretty
pavement.
good, I mean, it's not
Long, yeah.
super long,
That's
but
not
I mean, it
longer.
would probably be, I would say somewhere in that.
Mm-hmm.
Does not the statute say in a 50-foot area from the front door
Mhm.
of the location?
So that would be
Better
in the
entrance
grass.
door.
Yeah,
Interest though.
probably, yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere in here.
And if
We can go back.
you've got two different fronts that the people could move in on from this left side and cross over the grass there in front of the sanctuary
To the sidewalk.
and come in through that way, but more likely from the right side.
Would mark that.
Yeah,
Mark-
just
We have just marked the one, but
Yeah.
we only do it from the entrance that we designate as the entrance.
the voter.
The voter entrance.
Okay,
So what we would have there is the signs that go in the grass with the cone, the blue cone with the no electioneering marking that 50 foot. If it is indeed in the grass and not on the asphalt. And it that walk, you can't see it here, but it's longer than it appears.
I suspect that probably covers the picture.
I think it does, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
Mhm.
and everybody can't be on the sidewalk.
No,
Right,
blocking the sidewalk.
true.
Like Maple Grove. Stuff. So we'll just keep the board updated with what that vote is, and Ms. Chilton was nice enough to text with us late Wednesday night to let us know they did not vote. They didn't take the vote, and she did get the meeting set up the next day, so now we can take it from there with the church.
Please express to them our deepest gratitude.
Yes.
You're so
Mhm.
nice.
Absolutely.
It sounds as though some of the parents are already expressing theirs for considering. That troubles me, but but anyway.
Yeah.
I
Well, I think
hope
we
there's
got,
no undue influence there.
well, I think now we've got the direct lines of communication, and that should be from this point forward.
Right, directly with the church.
Yeah.
What I left the members with yesterday was that we were meeting today and I would update them on what our board decided. And then they're going to do, or plan on announcing their meeting Sunday and then having their meeting here in 2 weeks. So we'll update them this evening and hopefully
Go from
roll
there.
on.
That is a good community there. Mountain Park also. But
They're very nice.
If it were to help the congregation with questions, because I would think they're gonna have questions, would it help to have board or someone from
Staff,
staff
We
there
could-
to answer those questions? I mean, before, should we offer them
we
that?
can all,
Let them
absolutely,
decide?
absolutely, we can always offer that.
Okay.
Mhm. Definitely. Oh, that, July 28th.
I got you.
On it.
okay,
And then I'm done. After that week, I'm done. I'm here for good.
Literally for good.
Literally for good for the rest of the year.
You're moving in.
earlier in our meeting, just a few minutes ago, we talked about the $100 for the churches, for their, offset for electricity, some water, wear and tear,
Inconvenient.
the convenience. Here under other business, do we want to broach that subject now? Our next meeting theoretically should be October 1st. That would be our first absentee board meeting in October.
And I'm sure we'll have ballots by then.
So That's almost a given. So we would not meet, shouldn't meet unless there's business that comes before the staff or us that we need to take up.
Is there any reason that we would not go ahead and address it now?
There's not.
We have 7 churches now, this would be 8,
This could be 8.
Have we,
and
have we had about the fee?
I'm sure we probably have not. It has been years set at $100.
Been besides if this happens. But well, I
moved
guess the
out.
Bryan Mountain Park
moved
situation
out
that
that
kind of
one,
went
yeah.
back and forth. Other than that, I don't think we went into any new churches since we've been here. So those
would
contracts
be
have
the
probably
only-
kind of already happened.
We moved Maple Grove
Oh, that's
That
right.
is-
We
you're
did
right.
do, yeah,
from
and
Pioneer
it's
Fire
100.
Department.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm pretty
I
sure,
couldn't
but you can
find
look.
it.
I remember meeting Gina.
Sweet twos.
Do we pay anyone else for the use of their facilities?
I don't think so, because
Everyone else is taxpayer
got-
supported?
schools, county municipal, they're free. Fire department's free.
Taxpayer supported.
Community buildings, we don't pay any, I don't think. That's what we need to look.
Well, Shoals, for example, I think we do pay $100.
That's 4 of those. So
Okay,
let's
Shoals,
look up
Ruin
White
and Buildings,
Plains.
107. Seven, is it coming up? You got another one?
Yeah, let's try Copeland
Rockford.
and then Longview.
It's gonna be, let me reflect on this. It's gonna be real easy for me to throw a number out here and suggest that we do something. And real easy for all of us to say, yeah, let's do that. Can you get us a list of what we pay and to whom?
Okay.
And and it's obvious that no one allows us to use their facility because of what they make from us. They're doing it just because they're good citizens of this community, of our county. And then give us all time to reflect on that information. And then make a decision. It may be that we need to
Per election. Per
think
election.
further about it.
It'll per-
I think it ought to be increased. But perhaps it should be beyond just the churches. I don't know. I don't let me act rashly or quickly without giving a little thought. to
We
it.
don't pay that. We pay that on the back end after the use of the church or community building for the election year. So we wouldn't pay that until December anyway. So if we can get this list together, bring it back to the board the next time we meet, that'll still be ample time.
That's what I'm
Is that
talking
okay?
about. That's what I'm talking about.
And
And you're saying at the end of the year, you're saying, so if we do a primary and a general, that's $100 for the year?
It's per election.
Good.
per-
So
Okay.
that if we, this current year would be $300 for whatever each church.
Make sure that that's spelled out for us so
Okay.
that we have an accurate appraisal of the total number of dollars that's involved.
and also our budget for this year.
Yes.
Yes, that.
Of course, we just saved probably less than $2,000 for security if we're able to move to Jessup Grove.
I just, like I said, it'd be easy to act quickly and I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
Catch-
we can
Catch
pull that.
myself.
We got time.
We have time. We can pull that for sure.
That's good.
How much will it cost to mark a couple more handicap spots?
I'd say
Minimal.
less than $250, $300. Mhm.
That's done by county staff?
No, it's actually contract. And it's an individual who, Clifford Bowman, that's who we got to do out here. Different places. That's just county maintenance. They can do a buffer line for us, but when it gets into handicap markings and arrows and things like that, we do use the contractor.
Better painting or better for sign with a, or do they have a preference?
Well, we'll have to do what ADA requires us
Yeah, I
in the
mentioned
survey.
both, but I read into that more,
Okay.
but
Pavement
they
marking
seem to
and
be
sign.
I
okay.
think
to
you
do
have
both.
to have both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
okay.
seem to be okay with that.
Gotcha,
That's what I
I
mentioned.
think now you do have to have both.
gotcha.
Okay, well, we'll get that prepared for the next, meeting.
Thank you.
And then, Mr. Chairman, I did have one other good piece of good news, which you already know, that pilot, rescue squad did approve, us going there. Oh, I had it out, cut it up. And, I do have that contract for you to sign. They have signed it. So, really, really happy with that. That's gonna be a great facility, and we did meet there, and we met the contractor who's gonna do the marking. He's given us a quote, so we're gonna proceed whenever construction is complete, or renovations are completely done, which should be this month. And I think Clifford's gonna go ahead and mark that. The chief is going to, meet with him and to make sure that, you know, everything, we want to make sure that they get areas that they need marked as well. That's not beneficial for us. So I think it's going to be a very, very good site there.
It's gonna be good for our voters in the pilot precinct
It's going to be so
for a
much
long time.
better for our precinct officials as well to be able to get in there and set up like they need to, instead of having to wait.
Michelle, on that last, on the numbers what we've been paying,
Mhm.
if it's easily obtainable, see how far back it's been since we did
Okay.
anything, any different. And if it's so far back, which may be the case, that you can't easily find anything, don't worry about
Just
it.
let you know
But-
that too.
Well, I mean, well, yeah, that would be a statement in itself if that's the case.
I do not remember of any change or any change being brought up before the board and voted on
In law, in your tenure,
in my tenure.
that says a great deal in itself.
Thank you.
And I will say this again, Chief at Pilot has been so wonderful to work with. Dennis Manuel, who was our first contact at Pilot,
Mhm.
Rescue Squad, so wonderful to work with. We have just been really, really good. I hope we can keep that good relationship, up there.
He's
They
given-
want that to be community friendly. I think they're seeing this as a good way to show the community they're good stewards of tax dollars by making that available to the community. So I think hopefully we can be there a long time.
That's great.
I wish we could do something at some point in time, some kind of outreach. I know we do some things in expressing our gratitude to the different people like that, that make voting easier all across this county. We think about a lot of different ways that it, in thanking different folks, but sometimes there are probably people that contribute to voting in this county that we may not really give a thought to.
That's right.
Anyway,
Because every area is not that easy.
no, it's not.
It's just not.
We have a county that's got a lot of square miles to it.
We do.
And still a lot of undeveloped land. People are living there, farm. So does make a difference.
Yeah.
Create some challenges.
I think this is going to be a really good site for us. And then the other thing, I just got a poster there, for early voting. Y'all have those dates in case you get asked and locations and times and all that good stuff. So there's a couple of events coming up. I know we've been asked to, speak and present at. I'll let the board know as those, get closer, but September the 4th, Dwayne and Jimmy have agreed to be on a panel, and myself for Trusted Elections Tour. So that will be at Mount Airy Chamber, not Chamber, City of Mount Airy in the council chambers. But I'll send, they're working on a flyer for that, so I'll share that with you all when she provides that.
I think that's a part of Justice Bob Orr's,
Yes.
It is.
across the state travel. Excellent. Matter A, I think the next closest location to us is one they're holding in Boone.
And then, the Elkins School Board, I don't know if you all have, kept up with that, but lots and lots of questions and phone calls and things with that, but the school board did take the name of the person they wanted instead of the name of the person the party recommended. And they did install that person.
And they what?
They did install that person.
What was the problem with the one the party wanted?
As I understand it, it was a procedural problem that the attorney for the school board introduced that the Surry County GOP had not followed proper procedure in the voting process
Mhm.
for the candidate that they would follow. That was the accusation.
Stated reason.
School board got the candidate that they instead of the one that the party put forward.
And there might be another vacancy coming up there, so,
So,
on that school board,
So,
What about a vacancy we have?
not a
Heard
peak,
anything?
not a peak.
communicated yesterday.
That she's not here?
Uh, yes, that,
Well, he knew back before that.
it would bode well. if Surry
Oh,
County-
a name?
No, I communicated that bode well for
Gotcha.
Surry County GOP quickly to put forth a quality, competent nominee.
They know.
The board that Barbara's resignation has already been submitted to the state, it's been accepted by the state, and that with the conference coming up would be an ideal opportunity to have
Yeah.
somebody present so that they could learn more about the responsibilities of the role before the election arrives, and
Good job, thank you.
that we shall see.
Well, they knew that when we did it sometime.
Yes.
And ahead of a very, very important election season,
Absolutely.
to where it's gonna be very busy for you all.
We need her.
It-
We
it-
need
it
that
is.
seat.
Yeah, and it's good, it'd be good for that person to have a little bit of an idea of what's going on before their
Absolutely.
first meeting as an absentee
Absolutely.
meeting.
That was part of my communication. I think there's an understanding of that, and that most agree that the name needs to be put forward. But I do think the challenge is finding someone who wants to do
And who would commit the time, yeah,
Exactly.
I understand.
it. So I have offered to answer any questions. They come up. But I do think it's important that we have a nominee.
Hopefully that nominee will be brought forward. Will still have to be approved and
Yes.
voted on with the state board.
Right.
And then we can get them installed.
There's a process.
It is a process.
Yes, it is. I'm trusting that my colleagues understand the importance of it. So hopefully there'll be some action.
Hope so. It's good to have a full board.
Yes,
You're gonna be an awful busy man if ain't somebody.
for many reasons. For many reasons,
We'll be
it's
lined
good
up
to have
behind you with ballots.
a full board.
Yeah, that's true.
If you like to mark them.
Yeah, there'll be many more remarks.
We'll be able to serve our citizens better than we will without them. So
Yes.
that's the most important.
Well,
thing.
thanks for that update.
Yes.
Anything else?
Do not have anything, I don't think. Sydney, you got anything?
Sydney, what do you know?
Not much.
She knows
Thank-
Mountain Park area and Westfield area. She knows that.
That is great.
Thank you for getting us room.
Yes, great job.
For
Oh, yeah.
Greensboro.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you're welcome.
Wonderful.
You all got your confirmations,
Thanks,
okay.
thank
Mhm.
That does
How did it sail?
cut back on the travel.
It just, we
So-
just, yeah,
We're not gonna ask, we just trust.
you just show up.
That's it.
Don't learn.
I would like to add one last thing. I'm sure everybody read it, but this past week, the House voted on the SAVE Act, which is a major piece of legislation when it comes to elections. And has to do with taking the requirement further than the way it reads now, that only a US citizen can be a registered voter. And pass the House. From everything I've read, probably won't go into effect for this election, but we're following HAVA as closely as we possibly can to ensure the same thing.
Yeah.
So, but it will be elevated to a federal level to where it clearly states that only US citizens are eligible to be a registered voter. Probably redundant. Constitution says the same thing, citizens, but nonetheless, since there seems to be a challenge sometimes following the law, but in a lot of areas that maybe making it an elevated level is a good thing.
With the present law as we are right now, without that going through the Senate before this election. That's investigated by the state board investigator.
Investigations, no.
And of course, that could come to an end where that it would go into the FBI
Yes.
possibly later.
Yeah, once we turn, if we do report someone to investigations, then we're pretty much shut out after that. They do their own internal investigation, and oftentimes it's not followed back with us until the final, right, whatever comes in the way of a decision.
And it's my understanding too, that the North Carolina Constitution also says citizens of the state. So,
And the first question on a voter registration application, are you a US citizen?
exactly.
Okay,
And
Thank
you
you.
all, as I shared, you all probably heard it before I shared it, but Constitution Party is a recognized party. So new voter registration forms, once again.
Some
Has-
point.
has
At some
anybody
point, yeah.
on this board heard what the background is of that party? I mean, who
They've been a
initiated this? Is this
party
national-
Before.
Semi-recently.
Yeah, it was
Maybe in
with
2020, 2022.
21,
Okay.
22, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Okay.
They've been a party and then they, I think, don't have enough turnout and then they
Yeah.
kind of lose their party status
Status.
or whatever. And
Okay.
yeah, it was kind of back.
just a different ballot come primary.
Yeah.
That's right,
Honestly.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
And a potential, well, candidates on the ballot.
Yeah, for the November
General.
election.
Yeah.
It did say that they would be
Had a
eligible
couple,
for this
yeah.
election.
Yep.
I said governor and lieutenant governor, at least they have
Two,
candidates.
one each.